When should you be freezing in your games? Now, back in the day, freezing was one of the most important strategies for a top laner, but these days, because there is so much to do in the game, so many objectives to play for, freezing can be a hindrance to your team if you do it at the wrong time. So we're going to be going through the exact timings where I want you to freeze, and when you should be avoiding it and looking to play for something else instead. So there is one really important factor in the game that you want to be planning your freezes around, and that is void grubs. The best time to freeze in top lane is during the first 5 minutes and 30 of the game, because that's before the first void grub has spawned. So if you crash wave 4, let the wave come back towards you and freeze that's going to be perfectly okay. Or even if your opponent's pushing you in and you can somehow manage a freeze, that's going to be the best situation for you. But as soon as void grubs are about to spawn, around 5:30, 5:45, you want to be making sure you're fresh off the map with all your items, full HP, and playing for prio. You want to be crashing the wave and playing for grubs, because you never want to be in this situation where the enemy top laner gets first move and completely carries the void grub scenario because you were freezing and trying to be greedy. Now also, when the first void grub spawn has been taken, that huge timer between first and second grubs, that is fair game. You can freeze on that timer, you can play for your individual advantage. Just make sure you're keeping track of the second void grub timer so that you don't hold your team back for that one as well. The only situation where I'd want you to freeze when void grubs are on the table is if your team is just fully playing bot side. If there's no chance your jungler is going to make it top, if they're just starting dragon or playing for a bot dive, when grubs are up, you can freeze in that time. It's perfectly fine. We cannot carry a void grub situation by ourselves, so it's best to let your jungler do his thing bottom and play for an individual advantage in that case. But if you feel like you're not sure what your jungler is going to do, or there's a chance they come top, you want to make sure you're not freezing on that timer and be ready and even ping for it to let your jungler know what you want to do. Now, on top of planning your freezing around void grub spawns, there are 3 general rules that you can follow to really optimize your freezes. So rule number 1, make sure you keep 5 minions extra than your wave if you're planning to freeze for a long time. So 1 melee, 4 casters, 5 caster minions, anything like that, you can freeze for a long time. For rule number 2, avoid freezing after 10 minutes. Now keep in mind this is a general rule, but most of the time between 10 to 12 minutes, you have your first item spike, the second void grubs are spawning, you can proxy on a lot of champions, there are going to be better plays that you can make than freezing, so freezing is going to be too weak of a play. And for rule number 3, never freeze in the mid game. I've seen it time and time again, you lose lane, you lose your tower, and you try to freeze as a way to come back into the game. That gives your opponent top laner a big timer to run around the map killing your team, playing for objectives. It's better to push every wave in the mid game and make them answer you to stop them from punishing your teammates. So I have an example here of a great time to freeze playing Camille up against a volley bear. So initially my jungler was here, so freezing was quite easy, but she did leave eventually, and the reason why it's good to freeze now, I just base and TP'd back, so he wants to also match my recall and pick up his items, and void grubs aren't going to spawn for another 2 minutes. So the first 5 minutes 30 of the game, the best timings to freeze, as there's not really going to be another opportunity for you as a top laner. So I'm going to make it very hard for him. He's going to come up very shortly and try to force this wave in and get himself a base and let the wave come back to him so that he can run me down and abuse this counter matchup. But I'm going to be constantly trying to trim the wave and freeze, not a permanent freeze, but I just want to hold the wave here for a long time and make it hard for him to base. So I'm going to be trading onto him and blocking these casters. You can see blocking them from reaching the tower, keeping them just outside of tower range so that I can use my tower range as safety after trading onto him and running back, but still trim the wave at the same time. So the reason I'm trimming, if the wave is too big, I'm not going to be able to hold it without taking too much damage, and I can utilize this position of the wave to consistently trade onto him and trim the wave at the same time. So I burn his flash here, and yet again I'm going to be pulling this wave up. I can let the melees and the cannon hit tower, but not the caster minions, so forcing trades from my good position. We don't end up getting the kill here, but you can see I can pull my wave away from the tower range and hold a freeze. We don't get the kill, but now that I've got this really nice freeze, I can just trim the cannon minion a little bit, hit my recall, and get a really high tempo recall while he bleeds out this entire wave.